Here are your what to watch moments and spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful for the week of February 6, 2026. Be sure to tune in to CBS every day to see how things play out in Los Angeles, according to soap opera news. Monday, February 2nd, Steffi gives Taylor an ultimatum. Dylan confesses to Electra that she has something important to tell her. RJ shows Carter some designs. Electra and Will are surprised by Dylan's news. Taylor and Deacon vow to find a way to be together. Liam learns that Eric is Katie's new designer. Ridge feels immense guilt. Thursday, February 5th, Deacon and Taylor share a forbidden kiss. Friday, February 6th, Steffi reveals to Ridge that Taylor has feelings for Deacon. On The Bold and the Beautiful, Will Spencer has been at the center of drama for the last year, but the character himself has been less than thrilling to watch. Even after Luna assaulted him, Will never showed a wide range of emotions. There was a severe lack of depth, and the emotional range was seemingly non-existent. However, all of that changed this week with Electra out of town. With Will's overbearing girlfriend out of town, he became more dynamic and layered, earning Crew Morrow this week's honors. This was a breakthrough week for Crew Morrow as Will Spencer. The actor was placed in many prominent storylines since his arrival, but prior to this week, he hadn't lived up to expectations. However, with Electra busy with Steffi in San Francisco, Morrow's Will had the opportunity to blossom and showcase the full range of what he has to offer. In one episode, Will poured his heart out to Dylan, opening a floodgate of emotions that viewers never saw coming. To put it plainly, Morrow didn't seem capable of the type of vulnerability that he allowed viewers to see for Will this week. He seemed destined to be a flat character that was forever stuck in one gear. Issues that nobody even realized plagued Will came out in his heart-to-heart with Dylan. Will was left traumatized by Luna's assault that nearly derailed his entire life, and that was just the start of it. The part that Morrow truly snagged the honors occurred when he opened up about the toll of Bill's treatment of him and Katie. This was a broken boy in a young man's body. Hopefully, Morrow can use this to jumpstart a new layered version of Will into existence. Now that Will has poured his heart out to Dylan like this, it's going to be nearly impossible for him to revert to walking on eggshells with Electra. He can't be his true self around her, and that could become a deal breaker. Will and Dylan have an effortless connection that he and Electra don't come remotely close to replicating. Morrow's promise as an actor seemed like a pipe dream only a week or two ago. This is the direction that will make him a leading man for years to come. Will has a significant decision ahead of him. He can either continue to be with Electra and try to navigate her insecurities, or he can forge a new path with Dylan. As much as he's familiar with Electra, and Dylan comes with unknowns, the path he's currently on feels increasingly unstable. Once Will catches wind of what Ivy has done to Dylan, there's a good chance that it's going to result in a blow-up between Electra and the Spencer heir. Dylan has some red flags, but for the first time, someone outside of Will's immediate family listened and understood his feelings without judgment. Electra made Will's entire trauma about her. The only thing that ever came out of her mouth was a sob story that painted her as the biggest victim in everything. Dylan didn't do that. She listened. She gave Will the floor and helped him feel comfortable enough to say the quiet part out loud. Everything that secretly ate away at Will for months poured out of him, and it was as if he'd been waiting to have that purge for the longest time. It remains to be seen which direction it will head in, but if Ivy continues to make demands and Electra doesn't become a more secure girlfriend, they won't last. Will and Dylan appear destined, and although everyone assumed it would be Dylan, perhaps it's Electra and her crazy Aunt Ivy who become the most unhinged in this equation. The Bold and the Beautiful preview video for the week of February 6 reveals that Steffi Forrester Finnegan will warn Taylor Hayes to give up Deacon Sharp or lose their family. B&B's weekly promo kicks off with Dylan physically bumping into RJ Forrester, who introduces himself as Steffi's brother following her apology. Dylan obviously won't leave town right away like Ivy Forrester is hoping, since she'll still be around to meet RJ in the week ahead. In the meantime, Katie Logan Spencer will gush over Eric Forrester's work and insist this is exactly what she was thinking for Logan. Although Katie will love Eric's designs, he'll remind her as well as Bill Spencer that his role there has to be kept a secret, at least for now. As for Taylor and Deacon, their romance is about to get even more complicated. Deacon and Taylor just declared their love, but Steffi won't approve when she realizes their bond is deepening. In fact, Steffi will lay down the law with Taylor soon enough. There'll be a confrontation at the Cliff House, where Steffi will hand down a stern ultimatum. "You will no longer associate with Deacon, or you're gonna lose me and our family," Steffi warns Taylor in the preview video. It sounds like Steffi will force Taylor to choose between Deacon and her daughter, along with her grandkids. Taylor will presumably pick her family, but that doesn't mean it'll be easy to distance herself from Deacon. Another part of the promo shows Deacon wondering how they're going to give this up. Taylor may insist it's necessary, but trying to resist Deacon may only make her want him more in the end. There's a good chance Deacon and Taylor will keep sneaking around, but that'll bring new opportunities to get caught. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers say the week of February 2 through 6 will bring some big news and fierce face-offs, so stay tuned for updates on all escalating drama. The Bold and the Beautiful recap for Friday, January 30th, reveals that Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes declared love, while Ivy Forrester's ultimatum shocked Dylan. First on Friday's B&B episode, Deacon went to Taylor's office for a late-night therapy session once she was back from her conference. Taylor finally came clean about her true feelings for Deacon and said she didn't want to lose him. Deacon felt the same way, so Taylor basically urged him to leave Sheila and watch his life get better all around. Both Taylor and Deacon admitted they'd been thinking inappropriate thoughts about each other. Deacon confessed to needing Taylor and thought she needed him as well. Taylor and Deacon reflected on almost missing this connection before he voiced concerns over what Sheila might do. Taylor refused to cower in fear since Deacon was the man she wanted. Deacon said he loved Taylor so much, so she replied that she loved him too before they kissed. At Il Giardino, Sheila flashed back to a night when she danced with Deacon and looked forward to more dances in their future. In San Francisco, Electra Forrester and Steffi Forrester Finnegan enjoyed room service as they rehashed the Dylan and Will Spencer beach house situation. There was also some talk about how protective Ivy was before Electra got an "I miss you" text from Will. Electra got Will on the phone and received confirmation that Dylan was back up in the guest room for the night. Meanwhile, Ivy ranted about watching Dylan make moves on Will, including when she paraded around in her bikini. Dylan rushed to her own defense, but Ivy questioned whether Dylan had any self-respect. Since Ivy refused to let Dylan steal Electra's man, she delivered an ultimatum. Ivy wouldn't tell Electra about all the filthy things she saw tonight if Dylan left Los Angeles and never looked back. Dylan protested, but Ivy said she could claim she got a job out of town and deliver that news. Ivy got a bundle of cash from her purse and handed it to Dylan, who was instructed to fuel up the car and drive until it ran out of gas. Ivy reiterated that Dylan couldn't come back, or else she'd expose the real her to Electra. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers say Dylan will have a difficult choice to make, so stay tuned for updates on how she'll handle all this. This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, Will Spencer Jr. just made it easy for his new rival, R.J. Forrester, to make a move on his girlfriend. In all fairness, Will seems pretty enamored with his roomie, and he might not mind. Will R.J.'s meddling mother put a battery in his back and encourage him to pursue a romance with his fake cousin? Here's what's coming up next on Bold and Beautiful. Spoilers down below. Brooke Logan has only two things on her mind these days: her sister's new company and her son's love life. Every scene that R.J. Forrester has shared with his mother since his return to Los Angeles has included Brooke commenting on the girls in his life. She can't stop raving about how much of a catch her son is, and all of the women he was apparently seeing when he was in Italy. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Brooke is eager for her son to start dipping his toe in the dating pool at home, and she might have found him the perfect match. It's an unspoken thing among the Forresters, but everyone knows that Ridge and his son by default are really Maroons. In fact, RJ isn't actually a Forrester at all, and that means he and Electra aren't really cousins. Brooke pushing her son RJ Forrester onto fake cousin Electra is really killing two birds with one stone. She desperately wants her son to find a girlfriend, but she also wants to get even with her sister and the Spencers. Brooke Logan is the type of petty that she would get enjoyment out of her son stealing Katie Spencer's son's girlfriend. Do you think that RJ and Electra will actually make a cute couple? Or does she belong with Will Spencer Jr.? Will Brooke push her son to steal her nephew's girlfriend out of spite? The Bold and the Beautiful, viewers know that a war is going to erupt on the CBS soap when Ridge Forrester learns his father is working with his new rival Katie Spencer. Ridge already tried to shut down Katie's new company and failed. Now Eric Forrester is making deals with their new enemy behind his back. Does Ridge Forrester still have an ace up his sleeve, though? Keep reading to find out. Here's what's coming up next on B&B. Anyone who has caught a single episode of The Bold and the Beautiful over the past 4 decades can tell you that no secret is safe on the daytime TV show. Eric Forrester and Katie Spencer decided they wanted to keep their new partnership a secret for as long as possible because they knew Ridge and Brooke Logan were going to freak out. Did Eric and Katie underestimate just how mad Ridge Forrester was really going to be, though? The patriarch thinks he is just proving his son wrong and wants one last chance to showcase his work. Eric Forrester has been working on these sketches for months and was pressuring Ridge to let him release his new designs. He even promised they were his best work yet. Ridge's dad is so caught up in his designs, he didn't really think through the level of betrayal he just committed against his own son and everyone at Forrester Creations. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Ridge won't just get mad, he'll also want to get even. Ridge's new goon Carter Walton could find some sort of legal clause that indicates the designs were made at Forrester Creations and are owned by the company, not Eric. Eric Forrester's position at his own company has been murky ever since he almost died a few years ago. He seems to have just been around the office as a figurehead and didn't hold any real power. If he was just an employee at his own company, did that include some sort of non-compete? Do you think that Ridge will bury Eric and Katie in more legalities and lawsuits? Is it possible that Forrester Creations actually owns the designs that Katie Spencer is trying to use as her showstopper? The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers for Monday, February 2nd suggest some twists. In the next episode, fans can expect Bill Spencer to learn risky intel. Meanwhile, Steffi Forrester Finnegan issues an ultimatum. Keep reading to find out what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Katie Logan Spencer. Fans know that she was struggling to find a lead designer. Eric Forrester suddenly offered to design for Katie, but just to get her fashion house off the ground. Katie has agreed to keep this a secret from Brooke Logan Forrester, although there have been times when she was tempted to spill. For now, Katie is keeping this intel to herself. However, when Eric urges Bill that this needs to be kept secret, could something happen? Bill would just love to rub this in Ridge Forrester's face. At the same time, Bill needs to focus on getting Katie's fashion house ready to launch. There is also Eric capturing Katie's visions. When she looks at the designs in a preview clip, the brunette can't believe that Eric captured exactly what she was thinking. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers for Monday, February 2nd, reveal that Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes gave in to temptation. However, when Steffi finds out, she will throw a fit. Deacon and Taylor know they are dancing with danger. However, they just can't seem to stay away from each other. Steffi will be worried about her family's safety. The last thing Steffi needs is for Sheila Carter Sharp to fly off the handle. As for Dylan, it doesn't seem like she takes Ivy Forrester's offer. The girl is seen at Forrester Creations in a preview clip. Of course, it's possible that she's just there to say goodbye. However, then why go to all the trouble of having her run into RJ Forrester? It sounds like Dylan won't leave Los Angeles. When Ivy Forrester tells Electra Forrester about what she saw, it could mean a big blow-up. Will Spencer might try to explain, but Dylan in his lap is pretty controversial. While it was an accident, it won't seem like that when Ivy explains it to Electra, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Monday, February 2nd, 2026? On the January 30th, 2026 episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, Ivy orders Dylan to leave Los Angeles, while Deacon and Taylor finally give in to their feelings. Dylan promised Ivy that she was only in the main house to help Will babysit Hayes. Ivy wouldn't have it. She told Dylan to back off, and she wouldn't let Dylan steal Electra's boyfriend. Dylan tried to explain that she had tripped during her dance and wasn't coming on to Will. Ivy refused to believe that Dylan had no ill intentions, no matter how many times Dylan assured her they were just friends. Ivy accused Dylan of taking advantage of Will and Electra's kindness. Nothing Dylan said seemed to matter. The interaction between Dylan and Will wasn't proper, and she found it disrespectful. Ivy asked Dylan what she was up to and who she really was. Ivy seemed to have an inkling that something more sinister lurked beneath the surface with Ms. Dylan. Ivy's tirade continued, and nothing Dylan said penetrated her wall of accusations. She was in a bathing suit at the beach, but Ivy, now a body language expert, thought Dylan tried to gaslight her. Nothing could convince her that Dylan wasn't making a move on Will. Ivy agreed to keep what she saw a secret from Dylan, under the condition that she get far away from Los Angeles. Dylan couldn't pack and leave like that, with nowhere to go and no money to get there. However, Ivy thought of that and offered the former art teacher a significant sum of money as an incentive to leave. If Dylan refused to accept the demand, Ivy planned to tell Electra exactly who Dylan truly was. The hardest decision of Dylan's life now lay ahead of her. In San Francisco, Steffi thought it was so nice of Will and Dylan to look after Hayes while Finn was stuck in surgery. Electra told her that it went well, but Steffi was concerned about how she was handling it. She asked Electra whether the idea of Dylan and Will spending so much time together still made her feel uneasy. Electra initially felt off about it, but with Hayes there, she understood why Dylan would be in the main house. The bigger issue was that while she was stuck at Eric's, Dylan lived on the same property as her boyfriend. Electra would love to stay at Will's house more often, but she didn't want to move too fast. Steffi found Ivy's protective nature over Electra to be sweet. Even though Electra hated how much she worried, Steffi reminded her that as her aunt, it was her job. Electra knew intellectually that nothing was going on between the two, but she couldn't shake her gut feeling that something was wrong. The dinner was the catalyst for the paranoia and insecurity, even if she tried to downplay it. Electra wished that Dylan could find a job, get back on her feet, and find somewhere else to live as well as possible. Will called Electra so he could speak to her before bed. He admitted that Dylan helped him take care of Hayes, which was needed. Electra was relieved to learn that Dylan had left the main house earlier in the evening, which meant that Will was alone. They looked forward to being reunited, and for now, Electra's anxieties were eased. Sheila tried to get romantic with Deacon, but he had a late-night appointment with Taylor. Sheila took pleasure in knowing that Taylor was committed to saving their marriage. Every time she praised the good doctor, she escalated the inevitable fallout. Later on, Deacon stopped at Taylor's office for his session, which was a thinly veiled excuse for Taylor to have a much-needed conversation with Deacon. She decided it was time to stop holding back and avoid doing a disservice to Hope and Deke. Taylor needed Deacon to know exactly how she was feeling. Taylor confessed that she kept Deacon as her patient to avoid losing him. Deacon felt the same. Their sessions were moments that he looked forward to more than anything. Taylor needed to be more transparent if they were going to continue spending time together. Taylor urged Deacon to reflect on Sheila's past, which included a litany of crimes in her wake. Taylor believed that Deacon's life would improve immensely if he cut ties with Sheila. His standing with everyone he held dear would improve drastically if he finally cut the cord and walked away from his criminal bride. Taylor had a difficult time seeing herself as an impartial party because of the growing connection she shared with Deacon. She couldn't help but think of Deacon, and all of her thoughts were highly inappropriate. Deacon shared the same desires, and although he knew Taylor was right about Sheila, he worried about ending up alone. Deacon took Taylor by the hand and said, "I need you, Taylor, and I think you need me too." Deacon was still worried about how Sheila would react, but Taylor didn't care. No threat of Sheila was worth holding themselves back from what they wanted. Taylor thought that Deacon was the main for her, and he felt the same way. After months of flirting with the idea of being together, Deacon finally confessed to Taylor that he loved her, and she returned his feelings. They shared a passionate kiss in her office, and there was no turning back.